Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, joined by the guys, as always. Tariq, how you doing?
I have to remind people, I don't know why Michigan fans are upset with me. I'm a Michigan fan and are looking forward to Monday's game.
Was there something going on?
I don't know. People were worried about, I said Michigan was the villain and all the other stuff. I'm like, but the villains win.
That did get a lot of feedback now,
I don't know.
that you mention it.
People tend to listen to what they want to do.
Well, you know,
Bruce!
Well, look, you need a game against Miami for the AFC East crown. You go with Bruce. Come on, guys.
All right, yeah, big week. You know, again, it was a less than impressive win, but they got the victory, so you beat New England, and you've gotten where, you know, Duffy and I, by the way, who've been a lot less loud about it, suggested a month ago that it was going to come down to a one-game difference in the division.
You're trying to claim
the
last 3 weeks you have walked in with disappointing Bills performances. They're going to fall on their face, right, guys?
But a month ago, I said it's going to come down to the one game. Miami's played better than I thought they would up until last week. Okay, but talk about Buffalo.
Though I will say this, before the season starts, I said, watch out for Miami. They're making the playoffs no matter what now. Buffalo needs to win this game. That being said, I understand Miami's got a lot of injuries. They've got some guys. Waddle, who knows about that? Mostert did not play last week. Miami did not look good last week. I got this stinking suspicion they are going to be prepared for Buffalo. And then Buffalo playoff peak a little bit too early with the games that they've played now. They've basically been,
so
let's be honest. They've been on a playoff playing sort of run for the last 3 weeks. Gas does run out of the tank.
You can't get all uppity every time somebody says something negative about the team, because they have been so up and down. Every fan in the NFL roots for his team is up and down.
They're up and down. They've won 5 of their last 6. They're up and down.
Look at the way they've taken some of those.
They're a game away from winning the AFC East after being 5-5 in early November. Hey, do you remember
We like the point spreads. I think they failed to cover in 4 of the last 5.
Hey, you don't make the playoffs on point spreads.
Okay.
You don't. You make the playoffs on wins or losses.
But that's a measure of expectation, and they've come in under that line.
You want to talk about measure of expectation right now? Despite the fact that the Bills have not clinched a playoff spot, they had the second best odds to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC. What's that tell you about how Vegas feels? It's Baltimore, then Buffalo.
But I bet it's not close.
Oh, it's, minus 143.50?
Don't compare yourself to Baltimore.
Miami's behind Kansas City right now. The point there, listen, it's very simple when it comes to this game on Sunday night. The Bills and Dolphins are tied for the exact amount of sacks this season. You know what the difference is? The Dolphins are going to be without their 2 best pass rushers, where the Bills have finally sat Von Miller down and allowed guys to go get sacks, which they did against New England, 4 turnovers. Rasul Douglas might be the greatest deadline acquisition in Bills history. He leads the league in interceptions, turnovers since that trade. And Josh Allen, when you talk about playing against Miami, playing in prime time, playing in high pressure games, is at his peak. There is no way with the ground the Bills have made up the last 7, 8, 9 weeks they lose this game.
I will say this, his record against Miami, Josh Allen's very impressive to look at if you want to look at it before this game going forward. But I want to go back 2 steps in the sense of where was Miami at with these injuries? They've piled up this year. If I'm Miami and I win this game against Buffalo, I don't have to go anywhere. I get a little bit of extra rest. I don't have to travel to Kansas City or wherever the hell I have to go. I think there's a lot on the line for Miami to win the division against Buffalo in your house.
They knew this 4 weeks ago when they lost to Tennessee. They knew this last week when they lost to Baltimore. Where was the urgency then? Why does all of a sudden the urgency kick in the last game of the season? That is the difference between Buffalo and Miami. Buffalo is battle tested. They are galvanized because they've been in this spot before. Miami has too. And every time they fall on their fins. Hashtag trademark.
Wow.
You brought it up. What do you make of the Von Miller move?
I think it's 3 weeks too late. I mean, look, let's even take the off-the-field stuff out of it, which bothers me deeply, right? The accusations. He's not performing. He has, 4 or 5 tackles in total on the season? And I understand that the guy has had 2 now major knee surgeries, but if you cannot contribute, I would rather see Kingsley Jonathan dressing in his spot than watching him go out there and run directly up the field.
That's amazing.
I don't know. I mean, the Bills' defense is a bit of concern just in the safety aspect of it. But that team on the front line and their linebackers have been able to step up. I'm impressed with them defensively, but against Miami, you know how explosive they can be if they're healthy.
The Miller issue is concerning, I think, especially down the road, because when you pair that with Josh Allen getting more money, again, it gets tighter. It doesn't disappear. It gets tighter, though.
You're right. The Von Miller money is an issue. What you do with Tre'Davious White, what he's owed, and him being McDermott's first draft pick, that's a problem. And Josh getting paid. But you know what pushes all that off? Every win from now until the first week of February, because you don't have to deal with it until the season's over. So just keep winning.
They've been in the playoffs the last 3 weeks. I don't know how much gas they got left.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We're making our picks next. Just Passing Through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you. Our NFL Pick segment in the Rochester Press Box, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and official sponsor of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Time for our Pick segment. Our Pick segment is brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Greg, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
You're on your way to Miami later on.
I am. I'll be leaving tomorrow. Be part of the Bills Mafia, flocking down there, is supporting the team.
And we know how much you liked the Detroit Lions trick play last week. Are you bringing anything of value to the Bills with you?
The trick play for the Bills is to score one more point more than the Dolphins.
It's a good trick.
All righty, well, start us off. We're playing a line that says the Bills are favored in Miami by 3.5. Who you got?
So I've been thinking long and hard about this. This reminds me of the last year's playoff game. Bills won 34-31, so that's 3 points. I do believe the Bills are going to win 34-31, but I want to get the points to get back so I can win. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins because they're plus 3.5.
So you're splitting a half point. There's a new
Give me
leader in the
half point.
clubhouse,
I
by
had
the
to
way.
do it.
Oh wait, is there a new leader? Who's the
There's
new
a new leader in the
leader?
clubhouse, but I'm not one to brag.
Who's
Tariq,
that?
take a look at the game. 3.5 points.
I'm not the leader. I will go on top of Greg's pick and say that the Miami Dolphins will win by 4. Just for
You're picking Miami.
Just to see
But
the
Miami's
face.
getting
Put it on.
Miami's
Put it-
getting the points.
I get it. I understand it. I believe.
So you'll be winning by 7.5.
I believe that it'll be that big of a game for Miami.
Wow.
They will go in. It will be of no concern of the point spread. 4 points doesn't matter. 7 all they get doesn't matter. Miami wins the game.
Okay, thank you to both of you because Buffalo's going to win this game by 3.5. I mean, Bill's going to stumble. I just won the pick segment for this season.
NFL? I didn't know that.
Look, the bottom line is this. Last season, the Bills lose the opening game. They win on a walk-off field goal with Tyler Bass, and then you have the 3-point playoff game. The Bills blew them out in Orchard Park opening. I don't see this game being as close. Plus, you have, as we talked about earlier, the massive injuries with Miami. They're not going to be able to rush the passer. The Bills win. I see him by at least a touchdown.
The injury thing is the big, what I'm kind of pinning my hopes on. I woke up this week and I just had a bad feeling about everything. I think all 3 of these games are going to go against Buffalo and they miss the playoffs.
I just won the pick segment. Thank you, everybody. This is great.
I actually don't want to win under these conditions, but I just see, Miami got.
We didn't convince you. Did we convince you?
They gave up 56 points last week. They're at home. Mm-hmm. They're desperate now because if they lose this game, they got to go to Kansas City for playoff game.
If the Bills lose this game, they don't make the playoffs.
Well, you don't know that yet. And
you will that night.
The one break they get is that they play in the last game. Okay, my second game then I got Tampa. Tampa's playing at Carolina. If Tampa wins, they're in. So I don't see them not covering 5.5. What's your second game?
I will go with Kansas City. I think they want to get right. They can against the Chargers, even if it's
Chargers are favored.
I understand this. Kansas City's got to get right, and they've got to get all their weapons together. They do it against the Chargers.
It's a tough week to pick games because so many teams don't care. What do you got?
I disagree. There's an easy one to pick. The Texans are only favored by 1.5 against Indianapolis, which I do not understand. I think the Texans are a much better team. I don't think Gardner Minshew gets you into the playoffs. I take the Texans, and I like it with the points.
You've been saying that all year. Mm-hmm. Greg, again, week 18. A lot of moving parts, right?
I'm looking forward to this Saturday game. I really believe, even though the Ravens are going to sit a bunch of people, I still think the Ravens are going to beat the Steelers. Plus, the Ravens are getting 3.5. So giving me 3.5, I'm going to go with the Ravens, but I still think they're going to win the game. So Sunday's game for the Bills and the Bills Mafia is going to be all about winning by more than 3.5, by winning by less than 3.5, and I can win.
We'll do this again next week with or without the Bills, but what wrap it up for us.
I'm looking forward to a much more convincing win and performance by the Bills. I think Josh is going to come out. He always plays strong at night. He always plays strong in the national limelight, which this game is. So I'm looking forward to the Bills actually beating the Dolphins handily and then I am more than happy to buy dinner because I lose.
Hey, free dinner.
Free dinner.
All right.
All right.
I'm getting 2 Arby's sandwiches.
Very good.
You
Hey,
can take him to Arby's and us.
Greg, thank you. Enjoy Week 18. Enjoy the trip to Miami. We kind of wish we were going too.
Go Bills.
Alrighty. Our pick segment brought to you by Connors of Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Maybe you've been here before, maybe this is your first time. It's always a great getaway. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'll take you inside the gorge at Watkins Glen. Look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips is a game changer. No appointments are needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. Like it or not, solve the NFL referee problem.
More referees, more eyes, more people not on the field, but maybe to make the determination before it even hits the referees on the field. They make decisions pretty quickly, but I think it's the controversy of who could sub in, who cannot sub in, what are the rules on that, offsides or not, should they be playing? I think they're asking referees should not answer to whether or not a player is offsides. I don't think they should be giving that decision to make sure they're offside.
But they're right there.
I understand that, but I don't think they should be making these decisions. I think you got to take a lot of it out of it. You need more eyes on it. People bet on it more. You can't screw up
To that
calls
point,
at all.
there are things you can take out of the element. You know, when we're rolling this around pregame for us, are we headed someday to like have a totally automated refereed game?
I don't think that works because you do need, like, for example, what happened with the Lions? You need guys on the field for that. What are you going to do? Speak into a speaker box like it's a drive-through? Like, I'm eligible.
People do it on their phones all the time.
Text the NFL, I'm eligible. No.
I like to say I'm eligible.
I mean, look, I think what baseball is doing is, you know, it would benefit the NFL. You have oversight that catches your massive mistakes while you have the human element there. Yes, but I mean, the NFL has the ability to do that. In fact, it's weird. There are already some calls where all of a sudden you're here, we've overturned it because it came from upstairs. Why are you not doing that with every single
Chris Collinsworth shouldn't be the first one to know that the play is wrong.
But that tells you how fast it can get to even Chris Collinsworth before it gets to the major decision of the NFL, which is supposed to be this billion-dollar organization that should be able to get this done.
Look, there's a reason they haven't done it yet, and it's because the anticipation of the call and the human error was something that used to be beneficial to football. Look, I hope they never put a chip in the football because one of my favorite parts is when they pull out the chains and they're going to pull it out and see how far. I love that. The anticipation of that is amazing.
That is like
football.
That is like the screwiest thing in sports because they throw the football around the referees and they put it down wherever the hell they want, and then they bring the chains out and they're like an inch.
But tell me you're not on the edge of your seat. Oh my God! He's going, oh, ah!
Yeah, but even then, Chris Collinsworth is the first one to know. They got the line on the field and everything.
I think you're a genius.
Like it or not, the results of the college football playoffs.
I mean, I like it for the excitement of the game. I mean, the games were fantastic. I hate it for Florida State because I think Florida State could have beaten the Michigan team even in the shape that they were in. Alabama should not have been there. They showed that they should not have been there. And just because they kept it close with Michigan doesn't mean they got it right. It means that Michigan may not be as good as advertised they were all season.
You know, tied into the playoffs, tied into the playoffs are those other bowl games that, you know, were just atrocious.
Just create bigger bowl games that include a playoff for that. Those other games, once teams find out they're not in it, these kids make business decisions, decide, you know what, I'm going to the draft, I'm not going to play in this game. I'm transferring, I'm not going to play in this game. Like those games, I didn't watch one of those games for obvious reasons because I didn't care because most of the starters weren't there.
Nobody cared. 63-3, Florida State loses to Georgia. And Kirby Smart comes out and he says, that's a problem the college football has to fix. I thought that was brilliant.
No, but he's right. I mean, look, you have the ability to pay these kids now. But look, if I'm a kid from Florida State, if I'm everybody on that roster, I'm walking away. Why am I playing in this game? Why am I risking injury? And not even the kids that are graduating. You could have a career-altering injury, a life-altering injury in a game that you shouldn't have been playing in the first place because they wanted to put Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh across each other on a field.
But how soon do the Alabama players decide, you know what, I'm not dressing to play Vanderbilt?
Look, it's a great question, and I think we are a couple of years away with this 12-team playoff of games that count where players go, I want no part of it. Well, look, if you can't eat the mascot, I don't want to watch the game.
That was a good game. I Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business, and Pat, as always, starts.
We were just talking about the national championship in college football, and Tariq mentioned he didn't watch any college games outside of those, the bowl games. I have to admit, 15 minutes here or there, 45 minutes in total, I didn't do it either. College football and their bowl system is absolutely ridiculous. Why do I want to watch a team that is a game or two over 500 with no prospects that my team may be looking at in the first 4 rounds play another team that is actually below 500, but they needed to find another team to qualify for a bowl? It's all a money-making scam, and I understand that's what college sports has been really for the last 50, 60 years, but for God's sakes, you are pushing a lot of patience for college sports fans to expect them at 3 o'clock on Christmas Eve or even on a Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning to tune in for some of the trash that you're trying to roll out there. And you don't even have good broadcasters, sideline reporters, or entertainment as part of the experience. It's not like the Pro Bowl where there's other things going on without a game anymore. It's just bad football for bad football's sake. If you want to have the game so the kids have the experience, you don't have to put them on television. And if you do, put them on some streaming service I can go find if I want. They are arguing that paying kids is going to water down the college sports experience. And I have news for you. What you've done with bowl games over the last 25 years has done it in ways that paying kids cannot even touch.
If you're an NFL owner, why are you so close to your fans, especially fans that are pretty upset with the way you're running your organization? David Tepper threw a drink at a fan that was close enough that he could actually throw that drink and get it on them, and was fined $300,000, which I'm sure he had probably laying in his sock. That being said, I have a real issue with a number of different owners that love to be owners, love to be in the spotlight, but you got to know your own personnel. Are you good around other people? Are you good around your own fans who are disgusted with the players that are on the field and have every right to because they spend as much money to get those seats and to make sure that they're dedicated to the team, season in, season out, owner, now, owner later, previous owners? Generations have been a part of these teams forever. Tapper has to realize, and any owner has to realize, no matter what, I get it. You buy these teams for fun and go see them play. But a lot of people that support your team live for this team. Feedback is important for any corporation and any company in order to get better. You may not like the feedback, but keep the drinks to yourself.
8,222. Is there a more absurd number? Yet there it is. Immortalized on the center field wall at Innovative Field where the Rochester Red Wings play their baseball games. Along with Joe Altobelli's number 26 and Luke Easter's 36, they are the most important numbers in the 125-year history of the franchise. As many of you know, but fewer each day, 8,222 represents the number of original Rochester shareholders who back in 1956 purchased the franchise from the St. Louis Cardinals. That stock drive, organized by local businessman Maurice Silver, raised most of the $500,000 that was needed to keep the team in town. Silver himself made up the balance. It saved the Red Wings, made Silver a local legend, and gave life to that absurd number. That was 68 years ago. It isn't easy to find any of those original shareholders, and it just got a little harder. Ed Blasco died last week. He was 93. Regulars at the baseball games might remember him, dressed wildly, a seemingly eccentric presence along the walkway on the third base side. There was more there than meets the eye, though. Blasco won a Scientific and Engineering Academy Award for co-developing a film processing system that's used on-site by the movie industry. His statue, the Academy Award statue, was presented by Lloyd Bridges. Relocated in Rochester from Pennsylvania after serving in World War II, Blasco purchased 10 shares of the Red Wings from the Eastman Savings and Loan. Not out of a sense of civic duty, he told me once. He was just a baseball fan who wanted to see the team stay in town. So next time you're out at the ballpark and you notice that number on the center field wall, say a silent thanks to Ed Blasco, Maurice Silver, and the other 8,220 local visionaries who fought to keep the Red Wings in Rochester back in 1956. That's our unfinished business, and that is our program. Speaking of shares, you own some, which is kind of cool.
I have my 5 shares proudly framed and hanging on the wall for the Rochester Red Wings of my house. Took me like 5 years to get my hands on
Very
some.
cool. And you have to go to the stockholders meeting.
Well, yeah, that or vote by proxy. It makes me feel like a billionaire when I vote by proxy.
By proxy?
Fill it out, sit in the mail. There's my proxy, ladies and gentlemen.
For everybody else, we're 90 days away from opening day. How about that? Okay.
Yeah.
He's our calendar by proxy.
Yeah, thanks.
And look at that number out in center field and say, thank you, Mr. Blasco. Hey, that is our program. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.